Welcome to another truck hardware installation tutorial. Today we're installing our new Gatorback Mudflaps on a 2023 Ford F-150. These flaps are a great way to protect and improve the overall look of your vehicle. As always, remember that this video is to be used as a companion to the included installation instructions. This installation uses a fair bit of hardware, so in the bottom left hand corner of the screen you will see the hardware used during specific steps of the installation. This hardware is labeled the same as it is on your install sheet. Before you start, make sure that all the hardware and custom design brackets included with your kit are present and ready for installation. With all that out of the way, let's get started on the front of the vehicle. To start, remove the push pin from the bottom of the fender. And then remove the two factory screws from the inner wheel well. Next, grab the bracket included in your kit and attach a spring nut onto the top hole. Make sure to position the nut onto the bracket the same way we did. Now grab a 1.5-inch cap screw and small nylon washer, and place them through the bottom hole on the cladding seen here. Once through the hole, place a nylon spacer over top of this hardware on the other side of the cladding. With this hardware all in place, position your bracket over top of the cap screw and factory bolt located on the inside of the cladding. Then secure the bracket to these bolts using two sets of nylon washers, stainless steel washers, lock washers, and hex nuts. Please note that you need to use a 1/4-inch hex nut to secure the black cap screw, and an M6-1 hex nut for the factory bolt. Next, grab your mud flap and place a supplied mounting clip into the top hole of the flap. Loosely secure it in place using a slotted washer and a 5/8-inch cap screw. Make sure the slot on your washer lines up with the slot on the clip. Repeat this step for the next hole on the flap. With the flap ready, let's start attaching it to the vehicle using two sets of sheet metal screws and small hole flat washers. Once loosely secured to the vehicle, take the mount clips you installed earlier and slide them behind the fender lip. An example of how the clips should sit can be seen in the following footage. When you have them behind the fender, loosely fasten the clips in place. Now move to the inside of the mud flap and secure the next hole of the flap to the bracket behind using a 3/8-inch cap screw and a large hole flat washer. This hardware will install into the spring nut on the bracket behind the mud flap, so you don't need any hardware to secure it in place. Next, place a 1-inch cap screw and large hole flat washer into the last hole on the mud flap. Secure this hardware in the back using a nylon washer, a flat washer, a lock washer, and a hex nut. This hardware can be seen fully installed in the following clip. With a square or other leveling tool, make sure the mud flap is level. We also recommend you take a step back and visually gauge the mud flap to check that it is aligned correctly. Once your flap is level, secure all fasteners. We suggest you tighten this hardware by hand and be careful not to over tighten any fasteners. Your front mud flaps are installed. Now let's move on to the rear of the vehicle. To start, remove the 2 push pins located on the factory cladding seen here. Now let's start attaching the brackets onto the vehicle. Grab the large bracket included in your kit and position it into the wheel well like seen here. Then, take a number 10 cap screw and small hole flat washer and position this hardware through the hole on the bottom of the cladding and into the hole on the bottom of the bracket. Secure this all in place using a small hole nylon washer, a stainless steel flat washer, a small lock washer, and a small hex nut. An example of what this hardware looks like fully installed can be seen in the following clip. With the large bracket in place, let's get the small bracket installed. To start, grab your bracket and position a spring nut onto the end shown here. Now let's get the bracket attached to the vehicle. Position a 1-inch cap screw, a large hole flat washer, and a nylon washer into the bottom hole of the small bracket. Once assembled, place this hardware into the hole seen here. When positioning this hardware, make sure to put a thick nylon spacer onto the back of the long bracket for the screw to install through. Secure this bracket configuration to the wheel well using a nylon washer, a flat washer, a lock washer, and a 1/4-inch hex nut. This hardware and the overall bracket assembly can be seen fully installed in the following clips. Once everything is in place, tighten all fasteners. Next, take your mud flap and line it up with the holes on the truck. Then use a marker to mark the position of the hole seen here onto the vehicle. With the position marked, take a spring nut and slide it over top of the marked area. This spring nut will act as a means to secure the mud flap to this part of the cladding, since there is no factory hole available to install into. Once the spring nut is in place, grab a 9/16" spring nut and place it over top of the factory holes circled here. This nut should sit on the sheet metal located behind the plastic cladding on the vehicle. You can see how the spring nut needs to slide onto the sheet metal in the following example footage. Now let's grab a mud flap and place a mounting clip into the top hole of the flap. Loosely secure it in place using a slotted washer and a 5/8" cap screw. Make sure the slot on your washer lines up with the slot on the clip. With the flap ready, let's start attaching it to the vehicle. Secure the hole seen here to the factory hole here using a sheet metal screw and flat washer. When securing this part of the flap to the vehicle, make sure to place a wedge plate on the back of the flap over top of your screw. This wedge plate is meant to level out your flap and should sit against your cladding like in the example seen here. Once the first hole is loosely secured to the vehicle, take the mount clip you installed earlier and slide it behind the fender lip. An example of how the clip should sit can be seen in the following footage. When you have the clip behind the fender, loosely fasten it in place. Now loosely secure the next hole in the flap using a slotted washer and a 1-inch cap screw. Then move on to the next hole with a 3/8 inch cap screw, a flat washer, and a nylon washer. Finally, secure the inside of the flap using a machine screw and a flat washer. Secure this hardware in the back using a nylon washer, a flat washer, a lock washer, and a nut. Repeat this process for the last hole. This hardware can be seen fully installed in the following clip. With a square or other leveling tool, make sure the mud flap is level. We also recommend you take a step back and visually gauge the mud flap to check that it is aligned correctly. Once your flap is level, secure all fasteners. Congratulations! You've just finished installing your Gatorback Mudflaps. If you found this video helpful, give us a like and subscribe. Check out the rest of our channel and website for additional tips, tricks, and installation guides. Thanks for choosing Truck Hardware.